So welcome everyone to the Youth Tellers first, maybe annual documentary premiere. Really excited to have you all here. It's been such a blast being able to work over the last couple months on this project. So I'm really excited to be able to, just share it with you all. So for those, we have a couple more people jumping in right now, but for those who do not know, today we are here to premiere the documentary called Stipe that we created this past August in Bosnia and Herzegovina in correlation with the Mediterranean Film Festival and through our Mediterranean Film Festival school that is put on by Outside the Lens in partnership with MFF, the festival. We're also partnering with, Liberty Station and the NTC Foundation, as well as the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, who we will talk about here in a few minutes. But before we jump into everything, I know everyone's coming from different places and understandings of MFF and our documentary and Young Lions Jazz. So we're going to do a little backstory of where we're at with that, how we got to this point. And how we created a film score virtually with all of our students. So our journey started, as you can see here, in August of 2021. Outside the Lens conducted our annual youth filmmaking workshop, MFF School in Bosnia-Herzegovina, in partnership with the Mediterranean Film Festival. The students were given 2 weeks to write, produce, film, score, and edit a documentary video before premiering it at the International Film Festival. So this is a picture of some of our crew, which a few of y'all are here today. So really excited to have you. Then 3 months later, we got to meet the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. If you've never heard of Young Lions Jazz Conservatory, I'm just gonna read off their mission statement for you. Their mission is to enrich young lives and the San Diego community where they live by inspiring imagination, intellectual curiosity, character, and self-confidence through jazz music instruction provided to middle and high school students, to facilitate exclusive performance opportunities for young musicians at public venues, to promote diversity and inclusion, to foster awareness and appreciation of jazz music in the community through live performances and education. So it has been such an amazing opportunity being able to partner with both, we have here Jacob and Brenda, who I will introduce a little bit more later, but really talented musicians and really fun opportunity. I've been in documentary filmmaking for quite some time now and never had an opportunity quite like this. So super cool. Let's see, I see Nicola is just jumping on. So as we continue forward, we're going to separate this into two portions. The first portion is going to be talking about our film production process, how we brought the film together in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then the second part that we'll jump into is obviously the music scoring. But again, just wanting to make sure everyone is on the same page at how this got all brought together, because it has been across continents, across borders, all of that, like online, virtual, it's been everywhere. It's been everywhere, man. So it's been great. So diving into the filmmaking process, I want to first introduce our director, who many of you know, but our director is Mia Hrkac. She is from Bosnia and Herzegovina. She is 16 years old and attending a grammar and music high school. film has been one of her biggest passions for years. She has found that expressing one's stories in various ways is especially interesting. Her documentary debut as a director was at the Mediterranean Film Festival this year in 2021. So welcome, Mia. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
For sure. So Mia's going to be answering some of our questions here in a sec, but we have Mia and then we have the rest of our team too. Really excited. We weren't sure who all was going to be showing up. So we have, I see Lovro's here. We have Dominic, both, Lovro as a producer, Dominic as one of our editing professors, and then Alec as well, who was also a professor for our editing portion. This film, like we said, was brought together in 2 weeks. So I thought we could just ask a few questions of that unique process from our filmmakers and let them chime in a little bit. So the first question we're gonna hit on is, what is something you will always remember from your first documentary film? So maybe we'll start with Mia, and then if anyone else would like to chime in, that would be great.
So I will definitely remember, first of all the friendships that we made, and that made this whole experience super, even more awesome than it already was. But I will definitely remember some life lessons that we learned, like that it's always important to trust the process, and that, as our mental look always said, that the documentary will always tell you what to do, and it's really important to just be in that process and be creative and try to express the truth in the best way you can, and everything else will just appear and it will be all good in the end.
For sure. I'm glad you remember that. That's so great. It's like my motto: documentary will always show it what it's supposed to be. So yeah, I love that, Mia. Any other thoughts from anyone else that was on the film?
I think I will always remember that no matter how difficult the challenges get, there will always be some sort of solution as long as you look for it. There was definitely a lot of hardships that we ran into, whether it was just like roadblocks with the storytelling or with the editing or whatever it was, but one way or another, we kind of made it work. And that was something that will always stick with me from that whole process, definitely.
For sure. Yeah, definitely, major roadblocks, but we can always get around them, I guess. For those who don't know, actually, this documentary, we did have quite a few roadblocks when we were in Bosnia and Herzegovina, whether it was scheduling or different things that went on. And the majority of what you see that you will see today in terms of the visual was all shot in about a day and a half. So keep that in mind for sure, that even whether it's Mia or Lovro or any of these students, they really pulled together something quite amazing in a very short amount of time that was given to them. So Lovro, we want to hear from you. How did the process, what do you remember from it the most?
Well, the three grandmas we met, meeting people is the best part of documentary. Just meet so many, and just a fun time.
For sure.
And definitely a lot of mistakes that should not be repeated.
That's great. Mistakes to learn from, for sure. And I think having been, I think almost everyone's first documentary of this length, especially, there were very few mistakes compared to what there could have been. So it was pretty incredible to watch as someone, I'm in documentary all the time, and really, really impressed by the work you guys did. So we'll jump into our next question here. What part of the process did you really enjoy that you didn't expect that you would throughout the whole time we've been making this film? I can send it over maybe to Dominic. Dominic, are you able to talk? If you'd have an answer for that?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So I'd say editing, because I don't really like to edit because it's so boring. Even though I'm pretty good at it, I don't really like to edit. So yeah, it was pretty fun this year.
That's awesome. That's really hilarious. I never knew you didn't like editing. I always thought you loved it.
Having worked with Dominic and also of the same mindset, I do agree that though editing can be frustrating and generally, even if you're good at it, it can be kind of annoying. It was really fun, especially working with Jakob and with Nicola. It just made it such an interesting process, seeing it through the eyes of somebody who doesn't edit very often, and it was learning. That part of the process was really cool, definitely.
Yeah, Nicola, what are your thoughts on that?
First, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I just want to say first that I was in the narrative group, so I unfortunately didn't get to work with you guys in the doc group, and that's unfortunate. But in the narrative group, I'd say what I enjoyed was I wasn't just I was an editor, but also I was a script supervisor, which is you're basically supervising when they roll the camera and roll the audio and stuff, and you have to keep track of all that so that so that you have a list of all of the takes, and you have to keep that all organized for a post. And that was also my job, and I did that more than I did the actual editing. But I did kind of enjoy it. It was kind of cool. I felt I felt almost like a health inspector for film, because I had a paper and a pencil, and I was keeping an eye on everything and making sure hey, did we skip this take? Did we was the audio good on that? And it was kind of stressful, but also kind of exciting,
Yeah, I know we got to see you. I feel stop by quite a few times, and even in our editing bay too, and and just checking out the film and stuff. So it was fun to be able to kind of correlate our experiences in terms of whether it's editing or your script supervising stuff. So that's great. Any other thoughts on this question from anyone? No, we will move on to the next one. Okay, cool. So the final one I thought would be interesting to know from you all is, I don't know a lot of people who have the experience of creating a film this fast. What would you say are some tools or skills that helped you accomplish this in such a quick time frame? Maybe actually, Mia, could we start with you, since as a director, you had to take on the brunt of most of the work right up front?
Definitely the most helpful thing was having a crew with such a hardworking and creative people, and also having awesome mentors and educators with us the whole time. And whenever we don't know what to do, they always know what is the best next step. And yeah, also everyone in community was super helpful, and whenever they could help us, they did. So that really fixed a lot of things and problems that we had. For
sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, even at the beginning, what about, could I ask you too, the pre-production process, how intensive was that for you, and what we were having to do? Yeah, it was very challenging, and I would say even maybe the hardest part of the documentary, because you are sometimes meeting the person you are going, meeting the person you're going to make a documentary about, and in just 2 weeks you have say their life story, which can be a very hard and sensitive subject. And also we had quite a few times when points where we needed to change our whole script and film in just a few hours, and then keep shooting the next day. For sure. Yeah, so true. Any other thoughts on that question? Again, it was, what are some tools or skills that helped you accomplish this in 2 weeks?
Does caffeine count as a tool for skill?
It definitely counts. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's a lot of caffeine and staying calm. It's kind of an oxymoron, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink caffeine, but it's definitely true. In a documentary world, a lot of caffeine is consumed, even in narrative as well. But also trying to not want to get super flustered or anything when plans are changing and gear is not working. And I think we went through the whole gamut of those emotions.
It was definitely helpful that our editing bay was right on top of a cafe.
Yeah, for sure. Totally.
I'd say that the most important skill would be sheer willpower.
Definitely. Yeah. If I were
kind of alluding to what Mia was touching upon, though, adaptability was the biggest skill that I think we all had to learn the hard way. Like Mia said, there would be times where we would have to completely change things up, and we had hours to get it done and hammer it all out, and everybody did in the end. So just staying adaptable really was key to getting this thing done.
Yeah, I would add to that too, like maintaining or finding a way to maintain a positive mindset about even those hurdles that you're coming up against helps a lot. So great. Well, let's see. Let's jump in now. We're gonna switch over to the music portion, which is our main portion of today. So we are going to first introduce our composers from the film, both Ilya, who is our first composer. Ilya is a 20-year-old composer from Bosnia and Herzegovina. He is currently studying music in college and has been dedicated to his craft, having his work featured at the Mediterranean Film Festival multiple times. Ilya, unfortunately, was not able to be with us today, but Ilya is who first scored our entire film in just 2 days' time. Really impressive. And a lot of that same score that he added to our film is still in it. We were able to come alongside the Young Lions and actually merge the two together. So that was something that's really fun about this project. But our first composer from the Young Lions that we have up here is Brenda. And Brenda is a 17-year-old jazz pianist and composer, currently a senior at the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts. She has been studying jazz for years with many local and nationally acclaimed musicians such as Gilbert Castellanos, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this name exactly, but Kamau Cañada. She is a student of the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory in San Diego and of the Colburn School in Los Angeles. Winner of several awards and competitions such as Young Arts in jazz piano and jazz composition, and was also selected to be the pianist of the Monterey Next Generation Women in Jazz for 2 years in a row, 2020 and 2021. So excited to have you with us, Brenda. I mean, I already know you, but everyone here doesn't, so I'm glad they are getting to know you a little bit now. I'm going to introduce Jacob as well, and then we'll come back and ask all the questions. But yeah, and so we have Jacob Williams here as well, a 17-year-old guitarist and composer from San Diego, California. He has been recognized locally for his performances over the last several years. He is currently a senior at Granite Hills High School and a student at the Young Lions Jazz Conservatory under the direction of Gilbert Castellanos. And both of if you didn't see their social media handles are both here. I will be including those as well on our website here later. But yeah, welcome to the two of you. Great to have you with us. Let's just start right off. I've known a little bit about your backstory, but for everyone here, what got you into music in the first place? What really, stirred, especially jazz music? Because it sounds like both of you have been doing it for quite some time.
I can go first, I guess. So I started doing piano when I was 4 years old because of my mom. So she always wanted to be a musician when she was younger, but she was always too shy, I guess. So she put me into music lessons and I really liked it. And then I took jazz lessons because she listened to a lot of jazz and I really enjoyed listening to it too. So that's why.
Awesome. Yeah, I have liked listening to jazz since I was young as well. My parents both hated it. But it's good to know there's other kids out there who grew up liking jazz as well. Jacob, what about you?
I probably started playing guitar when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, and I was just introduced to it because both of my parents have a deep love for music, and a lot of the music I heard like from them that they listened to was like very like guitar based music. So it kind of inspired me to want to play the guitar. and I learned about jazz music through like my guitar teacher that I had been studying with for quite some time, and he introduced me to it and sort of opened the doors and to this type of music I had never really like been knowledgeable of before, and it was something really good to be introduced to that.
Yeah, for sure. I know, like when I predominantly think of jazz music, I don't think straight to a guitar, but like it's, you know, even hearing some of your stuff that you've created, it's really cool to see how well that incorporates and is important as well. So yeah, so next question we have here is, how did the film scoring process differ for you from your regular compositions that you all create? Maybe we could start with Jacob this time, if you want.
Yeah, it's definitely a different process. It's something, it was kind of a new type of thing. Kind of like when I did utilize a song that I had already written, but when I was trying to sort of put it together, specifically recordings for this project, I just noticed that there's some extra things that you have to keep in mind that I wouldn't normally think about. Like thinking, okay, when this, you know, goes here, like how am I trying to elevate whatever's supposed to be going on in the film? It's kind of just thinking, what can I do to serve and like best elevate the documentary itself, and just have the music sort of be an extra tool to, you know, add to it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was cool to see that process, as well as, you know, someone coming in alongside you all, just noticing that, you know, we started with an idea of what we wanted the music to sound like, and then we had to adapt it to the different sections of, you know, we needed 45 seconds here and a minute here, and, you know, like that. So taking your song that you'd composed and like really finding how it could breathe into our documentary was really awesome. So yeah, Brenda, what about you? Any thoughts on that?
Well, regularly when I write music, it's more like I think of an idea and then I progress off of that idea. But for this, I had to like, I watched the film like multiple times, and I was like, in this part, maybe something like this would work. And I had to like really think about what kind of emotions were coming out through the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also what Mia wanted, because it's her documentary. Yeah.
For sure. I'm sure, like, I mean, you all as composers are almost, I mean, you are your own directors probably typically. And so this is, you know, a new experience. It's like with a film director here, when we work with companies, we all of a sudden, we're a director, but we get directed by someone as well about what they want. So it is a new process. And I think you both did such a fantastic job coming alongside Mia and just the different youth tellers that were there and their input. And so we're almost to the actual film. One last question. How was it scoring a film virtually, collaborating with people you had never met before?
It was really interesting, especially because we're from different countries too. And I've never done something like this, and it was a really cool experience. And I really enjoyed it. I wanted to say that.
Oh, cool. We will have to do it again. That's great. Yeah, for sure. What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, I think this is a pretty unique experience for me. And I think that doing it like virtually and with people I've never met before, obviously that can like sometimes maybe like cause sometimes like challenges, but I feel like in doing this, it was not much of an issue, and we were really able to like come together and kind of understand what needed to be done for it. And I think that we were really able to do a good job and accomplish that. So I really enjoyed that we were able to do that.
For sure. I was gonna pass it over to Ben, but I think Ben just had to sign off. But maybe I'll pass
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, are you? I can't. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
you're on the next page. My bad. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, okay.
Ben, yeah. What about you? I know you were involved quite a bit as well. Like, how is that, you know, collaborating virtually like that for you?
Oh, it was really great to see everyone's really hard work, and collaborating was really awesome. And it was really interesting. I remember when we were like listening to the pieces of music, like it was really cool to see how like more than like one of us had like kind of come to like the same had like the same ideas like when listening to the music. Yeah, I thought it was so cool how like just like the music like really like tells so much just through the sound of it. But Brenda and Jacob did fantastic work, and it was really great to see everyone collaborate.
Mm-hmm. I remember one point specifically, Ben, I think you gave a note about a certain part of the piece needing music that was not sad but not happy either, like, and then Mia also said like she wanted something that wasn't necessarily melancholy, or that was a little melancholy, and it was like the same note, just different, you know. And it was, yeah, it did, I feel like that did happen quite a few times in terms of the mood, what we were going for, so that was fun to notice.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of going back to again my favorite sort of quote about documentary is that it'll show you what it needs to be, you know. So like even with the mood of the music, like you watch it, like Brenda said she did like a bunch of times, and it'll just tell you, you know, what it needs to be supplemented with. So I wanted to open that same question up to Mia really quick too before we move on and move into the documentary. Mia, I know you've done a lot of different collaborations as well. I think film scoring, this might have been a first for you too, virtually at least. So what did you feel?
It was definitely a unique and interesting experience, especially because I never really worked with jazz music specifically, so it was another new thing for me, and it was definitely a pleasure to collaborate and just see how much music affects film and how it can even change film, having the previous version and this one.
Mm-hmm. For sure, I totally agree. Yeah, there's like little parts of each of their songs I think that make different parts pop as opposed to the music we had before. You know, we like both versions, and I was like, they both draw something out. So well, fantastic. I think that brings us to the point, the main portion of our talk today is watching this film. And so as we're watching it, I would just hope that everyone can enjoy. Our film is called Stipe because it is named after its the main subject in our film, Stipe Filipović. And as you're watching, feel free to keep in mind if you have any questions about the music or any questions about the filmmaking process. We will have a Q&A after the film. It's about an 8.5-minute film. So yeah, I really hope you all enjoy, and just remember that all of the people who created it, I mean, not all of them, but quite a few are here. And so it's a really great opportunity to be able to ask them any question you might have. So, all right, well, we will play it. Enjoy.
First step toward a professional haircut is to have your implements in good repair.
Da, evo nas odmah u studiju. Rekla sam dosta zanimljivih, najpoznatijih i najpriznatijih frizera na ovim prostorima. Stipe Filipović. Jako mi je drago da ste.
I šećer na kraju ovog spektakularnog šoa. Frizerski čarobnjak Stipe Filipović.
I znači u suštini imamo kosu podignutu visoko da vidite te suze.
Pa ne mogu reći na samom početku da sam bio jedinstven jer sam imao drugačije razmišljanje, ali sa godinama sam to nekako isprofiltrirao, tako da krenuo sam drugačije razmišljati i mislim šta je to sasvim normalno i okej. Nikada ne želim biti u masi, uvijek želim biti onako sa strane, da tako kažem. Pa na početku mog rada biti frizer u Hercegovini je bilo jako teško, zato što jako malo muškaraca se odlučivalo za taj zanat, ali s vremenom to je postalo i tu puno masovnije, da tako kažem, tako da je s vremenom postalo mi puno lakše. Svaka kolekcija, ja reći, ili svaka frizura općenito je priča za sebe. Moj kreativni put od samog početka pa do kraja izrade kolekcije najčešće ima glavu i rep, odnosno početak i kraj, i toga se jako čvrsto držim, međutim uvijek u sredini nastaju neke oscilacije. Dobijem viziju neku, nešto me treba inspirirati, kad to dobijem, onda najčešće to stavim na neki način na papiru, radim neke skice i u međuvremenu, znači, još se javljaju nove ideje, ali se uvijek vratim na onu bazu, na kostur same ideje, tako da uvijek budem na kraju zadovoljan. Razlika publike u inostranstvu i ovdje je jako velika. Inostranstvo ovisi o kojem pričamo, gradu ili državi, ali najčešće nije baš ljubitelj komercijalnog ako pričamo o nekim mjestima koji su koljevke mode, dok je u nas komercijala, mamo reći, glavni krik mode, da tako kažem. Tako vani je glavni krik mode da budete drugačiji. Moje društvo je uvijek bilo to koje me je prihvaćalo kakav god da jesam i prihvaćalo moj posao koji god da radim, tako da, a ovi drugi, to me nikad nije pretjerano puno brigalo šta misle. Jedan od mojih prvih uspjeha bio je u Amsterdamu, sam ušao među 4 frizera svijeta i jednostavno to sam možda previše osobno doživio i kad sam došao doma to svojim roditeljima i obitelji nisam odmah rekao. Ne znam zašto, ali jednostavno možda nisam takav koji se voli previše hvalospjevat o sebi i onda došao je dan kad jednostavno više nije moglo to ići dalje, kad je izišlo već na neki način u javnosti, morao sam roditeljima reći šta se u stvari desilo u Amsterdamu, međutim njihov je odgovor bio onako tradicionalan hercegovački, a mi koji živimo u Hercegovini to jako dobro znamo kako je odgovor u stvari zvučao, bolje da ne kažem sada. Postoje li razlike između razmišljanja starijih i mlađih o mojoj karijeri? Pa zasigurno da stari ljudi na samom početku da su to drugačije gledali, međutim kad upoznaju neku osobu i kad vide kako ona radi i šta radi i kakva je u stvari osoba, onda najčešće se desi da promijenu svoje mišljenje za 180 stupnjeva. Evo, mogu onako sa ponosom reći da jako dosta imam klijenata koji imaju godina, znači da bi mogu biti baka i tako. Nekako sve sam to prešao preko toga i znači jednostavno sad je razdoblje u mom životu kad slijede na neki način nagrade i priznanja. Tako da s jedne strane šta si sijao cijele te godine sada žanješ. Bio je jedan trenutak kad sam zažalio u stvari što živim tu jer sam trebao ići u Ameriku i biti od jedne glumice njen frizer, međutim nisam vizu u tom trenutku dobio i to me tad sam bio pomalo razočaran u cijelo sve to, ali vrlo brzo sam se vratio natrag i sad s jedne strane mi je možda čak i drago što nisam otišao. Šta me sprečava da ne idem izgruda? Pa najviše možda ljudi, naš hercegovački temperament. I evo jedna stvar, sad imao sam koronu i dom zdravlja je jedan još veliki dodatni motiv koji me na neki način spasio da ostanem tu i jednostavno tu je toliko ljudi koji su pozitivni, koji su spremni raditi i tako da mislim da ta sredina, bez obzira koliko je mala s jedne strane, s druge strane kad odete u neki veliki grad, nakon nekog vremena skužite da ipak nije to, znači da ipak mi živimo tu u manjoj sredini bolje. Jer evo prije par godina prvak svijeta u jednoj kategoriji od frizura je bila cura iz Sarajeva koja je pobijedila, tako da mislim da to nije mali uspjeh i isto tako mislim da imamo jako dosta potencijala na našem području tu koji mogu postići nešto i van više.
Idemo, jasno.
Pa važno mi je da podržim mlade kreativce zato što nekada znam kako je meni bilo na samom početku i da mi je svaka ta podrška bila na neki način vjetar u leđa i zato jednostavno svakoj mladoj osobi koja je kreativa, znači želim pomoći, znači želim joj biti vjetar u leđa onoliko koliko mogu. Ideš. Znači sve super, dođeš tu, znači jedan profil, drugi profil. Pa mladim ljudima koji se bave isto strukom koja želim šta da od mene pokupe, želim način pristupa frizerstvu, učenju, požrtvovnosti jednostavno i da budu svoji. Uspjeh će doći samo od sebe. To mi je onako nekako jako bitno da na neki način prenesem takve stvari na mlađe generacije i da se ne nerviraju oko nekih stvari koje će im za godinu ili par godina biti toliko besmislene.
Awesome. Woo. Congrats again to everyone who took part. It looks like we say good job from Alan. Alicia says, woo, awesome job. Applause from Ben. Bravo from Lucy. Yeah, it's amazing to me every time we watch that documentary that it was just all shot by, people who had most of you never shot a documentary before. So it's really amazing. So at this point in time, I do want to open up the floor. Well, first, if anyone just wants to say anything in general about the documentary, maybe we'll just start there and then we'll go into the questions. But yeah, does anyone have any first reactions to the documentary? Any thoughts? Congratulations from Brooke, she says.
It was really, really amazing. Brenda and Jacob, I loved the pieces.
Totally agree. Yeah, such a great job by Brenda and Jacob. Yeah, any other thoughts at all?
Yeah, I love how Brenda and Jacob, your kind of jazz score came together with Ilya's piano score. It feels like just such a solid collaboration, and almost would have thought you were all doing this in the same room together. So kudos to you all for doing that virtually, from across the pond with all the time zones and all the challenges of going back and forth from music and sound to picture. Everything synced up, the cues were on point and in and out kind of where they needed to be. So really phenomenal work, y'all.
That was really awesome. Like I said again too, like there's that one point in time when we wrote to Jacob and he said, hey, we need 45 seconds here and we need a minute here. And he just sent us back like 2 separate audio files and it was exactly those times. It was really, that's kind of how the process goes. And it was cool to see him step into that position. Brenda as well, but we'd already solidified Brenda's by that point. And it was just really, really great. So Alicia says, I love the individuality personified while thinking about the diverse collaboration behind the scenes. Yeah. It gives me goosebumps thinking about how, just the diversity of collaboration, like you're saying, even between Brenda and Jacob, in the sense that like when we first showed up, we weren't sure if this was all going to be something we recorded all in one room, all together, something like that. But Brenda and Jacob were really able to take it into their own hands and collaborate, apart from each other as well. And, do their own different pieces with their own, little groups. And, so it was, really, really inspiring to watch that portion as well.
I also wanted to say, Mia and everyone from the team in Bosnia-Herzegovina, fantastic, absolutely fantastic work. I've made one documentary before and it did not look nearly as quality as this piece. So, you know, fantastic job, everyone.
Yeah, totally. Alicia says you guys inspire me. Great. Well, then we will open it up. Just if there are any questions about the overall process or anything else that we might not have covered, I did want to open the floor for that. Yeah,
I just want to say, like, this is like my third time watching the documentary, but like it still hasn't like gotten old. Like, it's still so enjoyable to watch, like after even the third time. It just goes to show how well you guys like just made everything from the music to the visuals to the overall story you're trying to tell. I think it's truly incredible.
Yeah, I've probably watched the documentary like 100 times, and there's something about just, yeah, the visuals, like you say, Nicola, too, even the tie up at the end in terms of almost a statement of purpose by Stipe within his film about wanting to help students. I mean, literally, even though his goal in life is through hair and all of that and helping students in that way, he's helping all of us, even, you know, in the sense of create our own paths and our own arts, whether that's music or filmmaking. And I think that's really cool because the documentary is like doing what he also hopes in his life to do. So really inspiring. Any other questions or thoughts?
I have a question, Luke.
Yeah.
This one's kind of for the team over there that was on the ground shooting the film. I remember bumping into y'all when you came back from the cinema, when you shot him doing the costume and hair. We kind of saw it towards that final scene in the film. And I'd love to hear more about that experience and what that was like to kind of see him doing his work and what that felt like.
That was basically our first location for the production, and before that we haven't really seen Stipe's work. So his work at theater being the first one we see was really spectacular, and it was so interesting to see it behind the scenes because we didn't expect basically anything, but we were so, you know, surprised and overwhelmed with what we seen. And it was also, you know, first time us working as a team, and it was, I think, maybe my favorite day of production. It was really awesome.
Totally. Any other thoughts from Lovro, Dominic, or Alec, or anybody else? I might chime in then in regards to just like because I was there as well, obviously, with me the whole time. Yeah, just I think it's always inspiring to see how other artists' processes are and how they get to their, you know, creative side. I didn't really realize hair had the potential to do what it did until I met Stipe. For it to really be not only that you could do something crazy with hair, but you could make statements with hair and you could create collections with hair. I think that was really inspiring to me. He said, I mean, even in his documentary, that like I can't remember the exact wording, but like, yeah, every, you know, he goes through sets or like collections of hair that really speak towards some aspect of something out there, and then he moves on to the next thing. And I remember at one point we saw one of his collections, all of the hair was made out of animal hair, but it was on a human head. And so it was really, I never thought of that, like but it looked like a human hair, like how it was done and stuff. It was very fascinating. Yeah. So, any other thoughts or questions? One last question I might have for our musicians then too is just Jacob and Brenda. I know, Brenda, you said you really enjoyed the process with us and everything. Would this experience at all influence, or do you think you might be interested in the future of scoring more films, or doing something in that regard? Not just for us, but like in general, like I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would really like to be involved in something similar to this again, because it's a very cool experience, and I get to meet different people who also enjoy art, but different forms of art, and we get to work together. And I don't know, it's also a fact of I really want to use my art to influence cultural aspects, political aspects, change in the world, maybe. So using film and working with film to do something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when I was in film school, even some of my favorite moments were when our department would collaborate with the music department at UCLA, and you just go sit in there with friends and you're watching your film and they're like, wait, stop there. We need to add like 8 measures of this, or, you know, so many measures of this. And then it just, yeah, flows together, like you said. Lucy says, so true, Brenda. Love your ideas for change in the world. I do too. Yeah, it's so great. Jacob, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Before getting the opportunity to do this, this was something I had not really considered or thought about much before, but I'm really glad I was able to do this. And it definitely does make me want to do more things like this, because I think even though it's kind of like all these different types of art, like, you know, like filmmaking or music and everything else, it's kind of like we're all trying to come together to work towards whatever, presenting this idea or this concept through the medium of a film. And it's really neat to know that we can kind of use all of our different skill sets together and be able to combine them in a way that like tells kind of what needs to be told. So I really enjoyed that.
That's great. Yeah, totally agree. The collaborative process is the best part of filmmaking, I think. Yeah, getting to know people and stuff. Well, great. Any other questions or thoughts? I do have a few more things I want to show everyone, but I want to give everyone a chance if there are any thoughts. If not, all right. Well, yeah. So I did want to show everyone before we head out that there is going to be a space where this will be housed in the future. So if you would like to check out the documentary again, there will be multiple spaces actually, but the one that we'll talk about today is just here on our YOUTHTELLERS website, if you are familiar with it. If not, I can include the link in the chat. Let me see here. Here you are. So there is our YOUTHTELLERS website. And if you go here to projects, right down here at the bottom, it says Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. This is where we will eventually be housing this documentary for your viewing pleasure, and anyone else in your family or friends or any of your loved ones to see. So feel free to check it out there. I also want to just extend a huge thank you to our partners that were a part of this, starting, you know, a Mediterranean Film Festival, and then straight on to Liberty Station, the NCC Foundation, as well as Young Lions Jazz Conservatory. None of what we can do here, I mean, it is such an awesome thing, and we would hope to be able to do this just like on our free time and on our own, but we really can't without the funding and support, and just the help of each of these different organizations. So I'm just really blessed by that, and just in general blessed by Outside the Lens for opening up this door, like you said, for you guys to experience this type of thing, for us to experience it. And it's just been a fun process, even as an educator, to be a part of. So other than that, I just want to say thank you all for coming. I think that about does it for our first annual, we'll put it out there into the universe, first annual documentary premiere on our platform. And it's been great seeing you all this Saturday. Have a happy holidays, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
thanks, everybody.
sure.
See ya.
We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congrats, filmmakers.